Hey, everybody, and welcome back to For the Booze.
For the Booze.
For the Booze.
So what's up, Megan?
Well, we got a special episode today.
We do. Kind of came out of nowhere. It's great. I love
know.
it. We keep asking on Twitter, and finally somebody hit us back up and was like, we want to do that.
I am so excited.
So today, we have a paranormal investigation group with us, and they are called RKB Paranormal. How you guys doing?
Doing good. How are y'all?
Doing great.
Good.
So you guys are Damion and Josh, and I'm guessing you're like the lead and the leads. I guess. How does the team work? How you guys break it down?
We're the co-founders and we're the co-lead investigators. So
Okay.
Awesome. And where are you guys based out of?
Dixon, Tennessee.
Tennessee. Man, we seem to bump into a lot of people from Tennessee doing this show.
I know.
So what I have a question. What does RKB stand for?
What does RKB stand
Yes.
for? Growing up, it was me and Josh and our other best friend Keith. Keith was the police officer in our hometown, and he was shot and killed in 2011.
Oh wow.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
And it was something we always talked about. So when we decided to start the team, we thought what better way to start and name the team after him. So we used his initials.
That's
RKB.
awesome. That's amazing.
That's awesome.
That's really good.
Wow.
So the way we like to get started is maybe Damion, because your face is biggest on the screen right now. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Like starting out when you were younger, how did you become interested in the paranormal?
It was just something I was always fascinated in from, but even when I was a little kid, I always thought it was interesting. And I just had little things happen here and there when I was a kid. And whenever me and Josh became friends, it was something we always talked about as teenagers. Me, him, and Keith would always go to any cemetery we heard was haunted or any abandoned house we heard maybe haunted and do our own little quote-unquote investigation.
Yeah.
And then as we got older, it was something we always just still talked about. And then after Keith passed away, the dream kind of perished for a little while. And then a couple years ago, I went to Brushy Mountain State Penitentiary in East Tennessee.
Nice.
And I told Josh about it. And me and him went back about a week later, did the daytime thing. And we talked on the way back home. I was like, man, we'd love to come up here at night and investigate. And we got some people together and went back about a week later, did the night thing. And with everything we experienced that night on the way home, I was like, man, it's time to start this. And he was in 100% agreement. And I told him the name I had in mind and he loved it. And I messaged my tattoo guy the next day. He designed our logo. I had a Facebook page up the next day, and we started from there.
That's awesome.
That is amazing.
So you guys kind of cut your teeth on Brushy Mountain?
Yes.
That is man,
That's a lot.
That's I don't even know what to say about that. It's crazy because that is one of the more well-known places.
Josh experienced stuff during the day, and we went during the day. So
that was going to be my question.
Yeah.
Did you experience anything
of
during the
course.
day?
Josh, what was it that kind of happened to you while you guys were there?
Well, we was in the cafeteria area, and we were standing around and just got kind of a weird feeling. And the next thing, I started having these really bad headaches.
Oh.
And I couldn't really explain where any of the headaches came from because it was just kind of all out of nowhere. And I just stayed drawn to the cafeteria from that point on to the whole time we were still there.
Mm-hmm.
And so whenever we went back for our nighttime tour, there again, just something kept drawing me back to the cafeteria area. And one of the guides was telling us about one of the incidents that they knew had happened there. Whenever they was working the coal mine, the coal miners would come back for lunch and they would still have their little mining hammers. And apparently one of the miners got cut in line by another inmate, and dude went over and bashed his head in with one of those little mining hammers.
Wow.
And the location that they said it took place was pretty much in the exact same spot I was standing during the daytime tour. So it was just, it was kind of odd, and I just knew that there had to be something else about it to just I understand, you can get a headache out of nowhere, but a lot of times you kind of feel it kind of building up.
Right.
And this just a sharp pain out of nowhere.
Wow.
And it was just one of those things, places like that, you're going to get certain feelings, especially if you allow yourself to be open to that kind of stuff.
For sure.
And so I told him that day, I was like, dude, I said, we definitely have to come back at nighttime and roll through this place again.
That seems like such a scary place.
Yeah, but see, I've been in corrections pretty much since I was 18 years old. Mm-hmm. My dad's been doing corrections, ever since I was a baby. And one of the first places I ever went to was the old Tennessee State Prison. Of course, it's nicknamed The Walls. I was like 5 or 6 years old the first time I ever went inside that place.
Wow.
So stuff like that, I've always been just, I wouldn't say comfortable, but kind of in a way, kind of comfortable. Mm-hmm. So it was for me, it was a really good starting point for us.
Yeah, it's such a big starting point for anybody. I mean, Brushy Mountain is, in my opinion, it's up there with like the Bobby Mackeys and the Waverly Hills. It's
Absolutely.
It's one of those places people talk about all the time, just because there's been so many experiences that have happened there over the years. I could think off the top of my head, there's a bunch of videos.
Yeah, it's probably one of the most haunted locations, if not the most haunted location in Tennessee.
Oh, I don't doubt it. I don't doubt that.
Yeah, that's definitely a big one. And for y'all to start off with that's just insane.
I'm honest. I'm blown away by that, honestly. Most people are like, well, we were at my buddy's house.
Yeah.
And we heard some stuff happening. So have you guys known each other? How long have you guys known each other?
Since like third grade. So about 32 years.
Wow. Now, Josh, well, like I asked Damion, like, did you have any like major paranormal experiences growing up that got you into it, or was it more of like you guys just kind of like what Damion said, like you guys just had a general interest and you moved forward?
Yeah, for the most part, that was really it. Always something. My family had always talked about. I had a really crazy dream one time whenever I was like probably 8 or 9 years old. And it kind of enhanced my thought on wanting to know more about the paranormal based off of the dream I had, because it was so realistic. Wow. And for a dream to be so realistic, and the dream was kind of about the land that I lived on. And whenever I went exploring through the woods and actually found some of the places that I saw in my dream that I'd never been to before, it just was one of those that there's got to be something more to this.
Wow, yeah.
And so that kind of led me into believing more on the paranormal side of things. And then it's just kind of all through the years, especially with me and Damion and Keith, going to some of the places we've been to, spending countless hours at cemeteries in the middle of the night and things. And you just absolutely know that there is more out there than what anybody can 100% prove, right or wrong.
Oh, definitely.
Absolutely.
I would definitely agree with that.
Well, how long have you guys had your group together or been doing like just like the paranormal investigation part?
That was the next question out of my mouth.
We did Brushy Mountain in June of 2020. Like I said, started the team the next day, put everything together, and we had our first official team investigation end of July of 2020.
Okay.
But it was Ripavilla Plantation here in Tennessee. It was an interesting night. It was, no pun intended, it was a dead night investigation-wise, which, that happens from time to time. But that was our first official investigation. Our first active night came about a month later. We went up to Franklin, Kentucky, and did Octagon Hall. And
I've never heard of that.
My wife's on the team too, Kelly, and that was her first investigation, and it was a wild night all around for all of us.
Yeah, so, I'm sure.
Well, what happened to it there?
It was just it seemed like every room we went into, there was just different things happening. We would hear, I know there was one room we kept hearing growling in,
Ooh.
which we found really odd. Excuse me. And then there was at one point in the same room we heard the growling in, one of the tour guides, it was one of those public investigation things where we kind of got to do our own thing since we said we were a team.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the guys was in there with us, and he was kind of more or less provoking whatever was in there. You know, telling them, hey, this is the 21st century. Women can do things now, and if you don't like that women can do things, you know, basically you can piss off.
Wow.
And Kelly and Angel both started having pains in their shoulders and stomachs and all this other stuff, and you know, so they kind of hauled out, and it was weird because after we left, Josh had punched in our address for the GPS, and it kept rerouting us back to Octagon. It did that 3 or 4 times. It kept turning us back around, like something didn't want us to leave, more or less. And like I said, it was a weird night all around.
Yeah,
So-
it sounds like it.
Man.
Goodness.
All right, so
Yeah, and the weird thing is the lady, the main lady, the caretaker of the place, whenever she told us it was time for us to go because everything had happened, she told us that there will be something that'll try to make us come back. And she says, look, whenever you head out of here, she said, just keep going. Don't turn around. Don't come back. And then for the GPS to start constantly trying to reroute us back,
Yeah.
it was pretty weird.
Wow. That is insane.
well, this is actually kind of opens it up to like another question I want to ask since you kind of brought that up. Have you guys ever felt like anything's followed you out of any of the places that you've been to, like an attachment or I don't know, anything like that? Like, do you feel like something's come home with you?
I've never personally felt that way. My mom, she swears up and down that something followed me home when we went to Waverly Hills.
Oh man, you've been to Waverly Hills too? Dang.
Yeah, well, that was before we actually did our team. It was a place we had always talked about going to when Keith was still alive, and so I'd went with my mom and my stepdad. They went with me, and she swears to this day that something followed me back home because stuff at home started being weird after that at her house, and I was living with her at the time, and she swears up and down something followed me. I never personally felt that way, but so.
I got a quick side question because I want to hear Josh's answer because he looked like he was kind of smiling a little bit. But what's it? All right, I've always wanted to go to Waverly Hills. It's always this is like my dream. If
It is.
if I didn't do this podcast and I could get out and investigate because I got a bunch of kids, I would go to Waverly Hills. First place I would go. But a lot of the video content that I see online, the majority of it is definitely staged. So what is it like really going there as somebody who is really looking for the paranormal at Waverly Hills? What's it like?
Well, I've been 3 different times. I went 3 times in like 13 months.
wow.
And every single time I went, I experienced something brand new every single time. Like the first time we went, I didn't personally experience it, but my mother did. We were on the 3rd floor, and the entire time we were up there, she felt like she couldn't breathe.
Wow.
And she kept feeling a sharp pain in between her shoulder blades. And at one point, her knees kind of buckled, and we had to kind of catch her because we thought she was falling out.
Oh, God.
That was the only place she experienced that in. We went to the next floor. She was perfectly fine. And she was kind of a skeptic going into that night, but after we left, she was 100% believer.
Wow.
I remember the 3rd time I went, we were up on the 4th floor. I was on the outside part, and it kept feeling like I was being stabbed in my stomach. Like I was getting really